wanted to spend this segment kind of getting into LSU Bama week. Here it is. And we had last week, and I think we did a pretty good job last week of not diving too deep into this thing. You got to mention it here and there because of the situation that has presented itself that we didn't think was coming, where LSU's really got a chance to make a statement here in this game. But you can go nuts for 2 weeks trying to get ready for LSU and Alabama, especially when you've got games like 2011, 2012, some of these games in 19 where you've got a couple top 5 teams and you can go nuts, paralysis by analysis, I think. But we didn't do a ton of it last week, and now we're here. Brian Kelly got to the microphone today and wish Saban a happy birthday. Nick turned 71 today. He's a well, maybe it is. Maybe your parents had a point there that it isn't the best holiday because of Nick's birthday. But he said maybe that'll soften things up a little bit. I doubt that very seriously. I think Alabama's probably going to be coming in here ready to roll. But Brian Kelly did mention that he spoke to Nick Saban prior to taking the LSU job just about kind of life in the SEC. I thought that was interesting that Brian Kelly, who has not worked with Nick Saban ever, has competed against Nick Saban on a very bright stage in national championship game. And Saban obviously offered some thoughts, which I think was also odd because I feel like he would try to do everything to, why would he give anybody else any information when that guy's going to come down here and try to beat him?
Yeah, no, he's definitely not. I don't think either one of these coaches, especially, when they've kind of gotten the age and their tenure in coaching, they're not trying to volunteer any type of information to help the other team out. They're not trying to give you any bulletin board material to hype the other team up. They're going to, try it out there on Saturday and, scheme you up as best they can and, see who comes out on top. So I'm not expecting any of that from either of those guys this week.
So as far as updates from the press conference from Brian Kelly come, it appears that Jack Besh is going to give it a go at practice today. That is good news. It appears Major Burns is ready to go at safety. That's a really good thing. Garrett Dellinger, not quite to that point. He called him day to day, said, they're moving forward with the knee. He's obviously got that little cast on his hand from the hand injury, but the knee injury is the one that they're a little bit more concerned with. They're going to see what he can do over the next couple of days. Any of those more important than the other for you?
I think honestly, when you kind of look at the season, neither one of those guys, really have, impacted this offense at that level where it's like a huge piece missing. They've kind of gone other places. So for me, I think, if there was a week where you could get away with it, I think it'd be this week. I'm kind of looking at guys like Goodwin. Is he back fully healthy? Yeah. And some of the other guys that are going to be playing. But for me, I don't think it's going to move the needle that much.
One answer that was interesting, and we'll have sound tomorrow, and Matt, I'm sure we'll play it a little bit later, but essentially Kelly was asked, okay, linebacker rotation, what are we trying to do here? And he basically said, we want to get the best players on the field. We want Baskerville out there. We want Ojulari out there. We want Perkins out there. He mentioned those three by name, said not that Penn has not played well, but against Alabama, you better get your best players on the field. So they had a week to figure out a way to get B.J. Ojulari and Hale Perkins on the field together and to be effective, and Michael Baskerville on there as well. That, to me, doesn't sound that hard to do. However, you know a lot better than I do on the X's and O's side of things. What do we need to look for there?
Yeah, I think third down packages, anytime you see Alabama in a third and long situation, I think it makes that avenue a lot easier. I don't know if they feel comfortable with Perkins as a stack backer because all the responsibilities you have to do, being gap assigned, possibly having to run up with the guy up the seam and doing all the things you have to do as a stack backer. But I think they feel extremely comfortable with him just being an athlete and rushing off the edge. There's not much, IQ needed to do that. Just go get the passer and use your athletic ability and let him kind of take over that way. So until I kind of see him more getting those stack backer positions, I think it's going to be hard to make that avenue where they're kind of going to want to take Ojulari off the edge, put Perk on the edge, and then really still have Baskerville out there. I don't know if you're going to see that on a down-to-down basis, but I definitely see a third-down package where you see all three of those guys on the field.
Flipping sides of things, on the line of scrimmage, Kelly was asked about pass protection. And to me, it's very, very clear how teams beat Alabama. Your quarterback has to be phenomenal. It's got to be Hendon Hooker. It's got to be whatever got into Zach Calzada last year. It's got to be Joe Burrow. It's got to be Cam Newton, Johnny Manziel. The two Ole Miss guys played great in beating them, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence. that's what it takes to beat Nick Saban. He can do a lot of things schematically. What he can't do is take the ball out of your quarterback's hands. The only way to do that is to sack him. And so, more so than any other thing, the mobility of quarterbacks has given Nick Saban's defenses fits. It's the tempo, so he can't substitute and can't dial up the pressures that he wants, and the mobile quarterback. But that all goes out the window if you can't block. So the offensive front has got to be really, really good in this game for LSU. That was one thing I talked about last week, of making sure whoever's going to be out there mentally is ready to go. You've had some guys move here and there because of injuries. Campbell can't play 1 week. Dellinger goes out a week. You're inserting Charles Turner after week 1. Like, there's been some moving pieces up front. You need to have everybody on the same page and understanding where they need to be and what they need to do. And so if you can keep Jaden Daniels upright, you can move the football in Alabama. Everyone else is moving the ball on them. So you can do that, but you got to protect. And Brian Kelly said sometimes we're going to have to do some max protecting because they've got a couple guys that can really give you problems in Dallas Turner and then obviously Will Anderson.
Yeah, I think the worst world you could live in if you're this LSU offense, and kind of what you kind of saw for some stretches, early on in the season, and you just kind of drop JD5 back like a pocket passer, like he's Tom Brady. Don't really get any heavy play action stuff going. Don't really roll them to the edge, and you just drop back and let those guys pin their ears back and get after passers. I know these freshman tackles have been playing out of their mind, especially when you think about a freshman in the SEC, but and I know Will Anderson's numbers isn't what they were last year, but I don't think I'd love that, just kind of dropping back traditionally and kind of letting those guys just rush and kind of see where you lay after that. And so for me, I think this is a perfect week to kind of set those guys up with some screens, get them flying up the field, get some stuff on the edge, and like Coach said, some max protection stuff out there as well, and really kind of keep these guys on their toes. And I think you're going to see them really try to get the run game going as well. This is not, one of those old Alabama defenses where you got Terrence Cody up there, Marcel Darius sitting in the middle, and Dante Hightower sitting that middle linebacker waiting for you to come through the A-gap. This is not those teams. These guys are a lot smaller. They're a lot more athletic, and they play in space a lot better. So I think the avenue for you to continue to kind of do what you've seen the past couple of weeks, and let's get the run game going, especially with Josh Williams and now having Goodwin back out there. I think you got to do all those things. For a Saban coach defense, you see if you're an air raid type team, you say, hey, we're just going to drop back and pass every play. It's not going to end well for you. So you got to mix it up, and I think this is a perfect week to do that.
This is probably a better topic for later on in the week, but I think we'll get so deep into the X's and O's later in the week that maybe this will get lost, so we'll go ahead and go to it briefly here. Brian Kelly has coached in massive games. He has coached Notre Dame against storied programs like Michigan and USC. Georgia came up there. He went to Georgia for a huge game. He's coached in the national championship game against Alabama. He's coached in massive football games, and so the lights won't be so bright, like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. But he is going to walk into a little bit of a different environment than he's seen on Saturday. You've got to check every box for Tiger Stadium to come alive and to be what it can be, what so many people around the country, whether they're college football fans or national writers or television people or whoever it may be, think of Tiger Stadium. Mm-hmm. The reputation it's created. You've got to be good. And LSU to this point has got a good conference record. They've got some good players. Is it an elite team, one of the best we've ever seen? No, but they're pretty good. The opponent's got to be really good. It's Bama. Okay. The weather's got to be good. We're going to get good weather temperature-wise. It's November. It's going to be fine. Got to be at night. It is at night. And if you check all the boxes, then you get the awesome environment. And this game checks every box. So Saturday night in Death Valley is going to be on fire as long as LSU can stay in it. And I think when he took the job, you're working towards that, and you think, certainly I thought, think however you want, it may take a year or two. Well, here we are.
Yeah,
it's coming.
No, here we are. And I'll take a quote from the Mad Hatter herself. This is where opponents' dreams come to die. And I think for Alabama, this is a perfect opportunity for you to let a trip to the SEC championship go by the wayside, trip to the college football playoff go by the wayside, and that's the literal expectation for them every single season. You come to Death Valley on Saturday, you lose to this LSU football team, you can throw all that stuff out of the window, and I think that's the type of environment because everyone kind of knows what's at stake. I don't think any, really one outside of that locker room probably thought this team would have an opportunity to play in the SEC championship this season, but you go out and knock off this number 6 team in the country that avenue is going to be right there in front of you to go do that. So I'm expecting a really electric environment. It was amazing for the Ole Miss game. That's a 2:30 game. I can't imagine you giving these Tiger fans 4 more hours to, get hydrated, as I would say. Yeah, get it going a little bit here and, see Saban trot out that tunnel and just all the emotions that's going to come from that. It's going to be an electric atmosphere. Thanks so much for watching Hunt Hill on YouTube.
Now do us a favor. Hit the red subscribe button below and throw us a like. We'll see you next time.